Townsite Intersections Traffic Operation and Safety Review Study. And we have Miss Lukianova here.
Good evening, Chair and Council. And for those of you who I haven't had a chance to meet, my name is Anna Lukianova. I'm the Sustainability Planner. I've been back to work part-time following a mat leave, and good to see many of you again. My report to you is on Townsite intersections and a proposal to conduct a traffic operations and safety review study. This report comes as a follow-up to a delegation that Council received in the spring from the James Thompson Parent Advisory Committee, or PAC. And they came to Council with their concerns about children having to cross Poplar Street, in particular the intersections at Ash and Aspen, to reach the bus stop near Henderson Park that's shown on the map. Prior to coming to Council, they engaged with the school district to address the issue. However, school district wasn't interested in moving the bus stop, and that's primarily because moving it would simply mean that other kids from the other side would have to move Poplar Street. So they came to the city with their safety concerns. And the direction from Council at that meeting was that staff engage School District 47 and the Parent Advisory Committee leadership in exploring possible paths forward for safety for students. And so we did conduct those engagements, engaged with School District. Again, they maintained their position that the bus stop is in a safe location. It's a 30-kilometer zone next to a park, and that the safety of adjacent street is within city jurisdiction. And engaged with the Parent Advisory Committee as well, and went on site to look at the times of the school bus drop-off and pickup. And indeed, there are some challenges with poor yielding behavior on part of drivers and not yielding to children trying to cross Poplar. So following those engagements, and I want to add that the concerns of the parents weren't specific only to the school bus stop. They also were general concerns around kids reaching the park as well and crossing those intersections. So following those engagements, we worked with ICBC Road Safety Program and engaged an engineering firm to see what some options might be. And they proposed conducting a traffic operation and safety review study. And ICBC has been willing to support it with $20,000 in funding. And that study would look at some possible improvements to these intersections to improve safety. And staff also chose to include Marine Avenue and Ash intersection because it just continues to come up in our public engagement as an area of concern as well for pedestrians and vehicles. So it would cover those three intersections. The study would look at some possible improvements and also provide cost estimates. And that's always very helpful for staff because that's something that enabled us to take advantage of grant programs like the BC Active Transportation Design Grants, Vision Zero, or the Federal Active Transportation Fund as they come up. And we feel that this work would align well with Council's priority to continue progress on safe and accessible active transportation corridors in our community, and also align well with pedestrian policies in the official community plan. So the recommendation before you today is to proceed with the study. And that completes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lukianova. Councillor Elliott.
Thank you, Chair. So not wonderful to see you back here on our council talking to us about how you found us some money to do something wonderful. And so my question is does this motion also authorize application for the grant, or do you already have that approval, or is that a process?
We have approval for the funding, but we do require council approval to receive the funds since it's not in the budget.
And that's what this motion's about?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm wondering what a traffic operation safety review study outcomes might produce. Like what types of things are included in that? I'm guessing something like recommendations on changing stop signs might be a part of it. Some of those intersections there are kind of have odd stop sign situations, but what else might be included in such a study?
They do absolutely can include stop sign recommendations, but I think the more challenging one of the three is the 5-way intersection. And
Yeah.
it can be more substantial improvements there, so possibly curb extensions. If you might think of the intersection at Maple and Aspen and how that's been changed through the recent Maple Avenue work, you can think about something like that. So a much more involved improvement. Yeah.
So the recommendations generally are related to physical improvements to make the intersection safer. That's what the reports would result in.
Correct. Yes, and they would come with cost estimates so that that would be grant application ready for future grant opportunities.
So Councillor Southcott, then Councillor Dope.
Thank you, Chair. That actually answered my question too.
Okay, Councillor Dope.
Just a couple of comments. I go by all three of those intersections quite regularly, and they all have their own special problems. And the five-way intersection there, which is Cranberry Street, or basically Poplar, right there at the corner of the five-way intersection, has got a speed limit reduction to 30 kilometers an hour right after that intersection. And the problem is that people coast down the hill, and people coasting down the hill from Cranberry can be easily going 80 kilometers an hour by the time they hit that intersection and get into the 30 kilometer an hour. And before they rerouted the school bus, that school bus would stop right in the middle of that block, which was always a problem. I think it's moved slightly, and it's in a different location now, but I think there are still problems for all the people getting on and off the school bus and going to the homes, which are all distributed around that area, and trying to get across the streets. The Ash intersections, the one at Poplar and the one at Marine, are really strange, and I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out who decided to put the stop signs where they did. But I think maybe some of the reasons why they're there is because once there were 2,000 people or more than 2,000 people working at the mill at the bottom of Ash, and when they got off shift, having the stop signs in the arrangement they would have allowed people to drive from the mill site parking lot home to all kinds of town without actually hitting a stop sign. That's the only logic I could figure out. But we need to think about it. The other traffic besides school buses, some of the people trying to navigate the highway with its weird stop signs, because you don't expect when you're on a highway to come to stop signs. The other problem is logging trucks and other heavy vehicles going down towards the barge terminal. And they also go through all of those intersections. And maybe it's just me, but when I'm looking at the pavement on Ash Street going down that hill, it looks to me to be developing more of a washboard situation from the heavy vehicles with their brakes on than it has been before. But I look forward to some logic to stop signs and the traffic patterns here, and I'm really glad to see this study coming.
Councillor Palm.
Thank you, through the Chair. Ms. Lukanova, it's always great to see you. Nice to see you back. And were you responsible for finding the ICBC Road Improvement Program contribution?
Yeah, I think I can take credit for this one. Yes.
You are always amazing with the opportunity to find money for various things when the city needs them. It's great to see that we have some funds coming forward for this, since the school district pointed out to us that safety on our streets is our responsibility. I fully understand that. And once the study's done, I'm sure it will help you reach out for other funding opportunities to take care of the project. So thank you very much.
Councillor Isaacson.
Thank you. One question about the Ash and Marine intersection. That's provincial highway, and so I'm wondering any recommendations that come out of there likely would implicate the provincial highway, and how feasible is it to, I know that adds a bit of complication to it, and whether this will add weight to any recommendations or requests we make of the province in the future, how that works.
But, excuse me, it would add weight since it would be done by a professional engineer, but also they would engage with MOTT.
Okay.
And I had a similar question, but I was also curious, since it was involved in the highway, if MOTT was had been asked or was willing to help out with the remaining third of the cost of the funding, since it was a provincial highway?
It's a great question. I'm not aware of direct funding programs from MOTT. We are benefiting from ICBC. We have benefited from Vision Zero, which is MOTT funding distributed through Health Authority, but that's typically for implementation and not for studies. So it may be something that we can benefit from once we have some measures to implement.
Sounds good. Seeing no further questions, Councillor Elliott.
I was just curious, I recall the delegation saying that there used to be a bus stop on Maple right before it went over toward where it's at now, and now there isn't because they've changed their route a bit. Was it, did the school district say anything about having bus stops on either side of Poplar, and so that all the kids didn't have to cross Poplar?
I think through engagement with the PAC, it became clear that it's not just the school bus, that it really
Okay.
is the park for the neighborhood. So that seemed to be a concern.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone wish to read the recommendation? Councillor Isaacson.
I move that council direct staff to proceed with a traffic operations safety review study for the intersections of Marine Avenue and Ash Avenue and Poplar Street and Aspen and Lombardy Avenues at a cost of $32,000, with $20,000 of funding coming from an ICBC road improvement program contribution and $12,000 coming from existing funds within the planning department's 2025 operational budget.
Second by Councillor Southcott. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you very much, Ms. Lukianova.
Thank you.
Moving on to 13.3,